Celtic Ligers. Celtic Ligers. Celtic Ligers. Celtic Ligers. Celtic.
Welcome to Celtic Ligers. And joining me today is patron and Shy Talk host Kevin Larney, everybody. Yeah. Hello. This is very strange. We had one guest on, John Cullen, famous Canadian curler and comedian, and he's a podcast host. And
tough boots to fill.
Yeah.
No, what was Block Party in that context?
Blocked Party is his podcast is still going, and they have like people on to talk about where they've been blocked by people on social media.
Okay.
And like the podcast is good, but when I heard about it first, I was like, oh hell yeah, I can't wait to hear all these stories. But then the show was mainly just them talking with the guest, and then at the end they're like, oh, I put a mean tweet at some guy and then he just blocked me.
Yeah, there's not really many.
Yeah.
There's only one reason you get blocked, really. There's not really many stories.
No, there's
that.
not. I thought I don't know why I thought there'd be loads of stories, you know.
I'd say you've been blocked by a few people.
It takes
Twitter.
me, like, I've been blocked by a bunch of absolute strangers. Because there was one guy I got blocked by, and sometimes he comes up. He's got a beard, and he's kind of like a sensible centrist. And sometimes people will retweet something and be like, "Oh my god, this fucking moron!" And then I'll be like, "Wow, what did he say? Who is he?" And then I told them I was blocked by this guy, but I couldn't figure out what I'd said. But it turned out what I'd said was. We were like, something was happening, like we were talking back and forward. Oh yeah, because he said it would have been a shambles if there was a left-wing government, and it would be even worse than it is now. And I was like, how can you say that? You know? And he was like, he was just started saying kind of weird stuff like, oh, you can't prove a positive. And I was like, or you can't prove a negative. And I was like, I don't know. You're the one who put forward that they wouldn't be able to, they would be worse. Yeah. And he was like, you only have to look at, I don't know, it was bullshit, but basically the last tweet that I sent to him was, well, I disagree. And he blocked me.
That's a losing statement. If you disagree, then you're out. You're out of the bubble. I don't need that negativity right
now. I know. I was like, I was surprised because I was like, I was thinking that I'd be blocked. It would be much worthier tweet that would have me blocked because I've said so much worse stuff to people online, you know?
Yeah. I don't think I've ever said anything online, so I've never been blocked.
How active are you on Twitter?
I don't have it. I don't have.
Really?
I'm so inactive. I don't know whether to say I don't have a Twitter or I don't have Twitter. I don't know what the.
You could say either.
The word.
Yeah.
But it just seems like zero reward for so much pressure. I didn't even have it back when it was innocuous, and you were just like, orange juice. Am I right? Like that seemed pointless to me, and now it's like it's like walking through a minefield, and the reward is that you learn about news fractions of seconds
that's
before
so
everyone
true.
else tells you.
Because like, and it does damage you. Like you feel like Charlie with the corkboard and It's Always Sunny, do you know?
Yes, yeah.
It's like, because I found myself like reading articles and I was like, aha, but in 2018 they said this exact, and you're just like, fuck, man. And then I found myself getting like pure, like, I think that's the reason that I'm so stressed out today, is because there was like an article that was released this morning, which was about, there's two things. One that really ignites my stress is Graham Linehan, and something with Graham Linehan happened this morning, which I'm not going to get into. But he basically was just
news.
Just a video of him yelling at some transgender protesters, activists. He's just like, and he looks completely unhinged. And I was like, God damn. And then the next thing that happened was there was an item that the Dublin Inquirer were basically threatened by some development company. So here's the long and short of it. The Dublin Inquirer discovered that there is this plot of land that was acquired by this company called Veni Vidi Vici. Limited. Okay.
So wait, they're a development company, and they're called
I know.
Veni, which is I came, I saw, I conquered.
Yeah, and I mean, when you think about it, like the other one, was it Cerberus? Isn't that like some vulture fund as well?
Yes,
and it's like all these disgusting names, like these kind of guys who are just like, you know.
I think Cerberus. Because I used to work in a bank and we had dealings. I think Cerberus are like the go-betweens for vulture funds. I don't know. They do just like a lot of administration work. And I remember the first time I heard it, it was like, haha. I thought someone had misspoke or something. And like, you're going out of your way to name yourself after like terrible figures from ancient mythology.
And hideous kind of like, but it's all this, you could just, when you hear that, it just evokes like these marble statues and kind of this decadence and stuff, and that's how they kind of see themselves, as in haha. And it's like,
just
you know. And it's also like the whole language of they are essentially like modern day empires, just owning these swathes of land that they can just sit on and do nothing with while everybody else fucking struggles. But either way, Veni Vidi Vici Limited, I think they bought the land under a different name or something happened, but either way they bought this land for 2 million, okay? And then they basically kept talking to the council saying, oh, we'll build a bunch of social housing on this, but we need you to get rid of these certain zoning restrictions. And so the council did this.
So they're about to do a deal. I mean, if you can't trust the people at Veni Vidi Vici, who can you trust?
So like they did over the course of basically a decade, I think a decade, maybe slightly less, however many years and years, they managed to get all these things met on the promise that they would agree to build a certain amount of social and affordable housing on this plot of land. And then today they've now put it out to tender for 25 million. So it's going to be up to some other developers, which is 10 times the amount they paid for the land in the first place. And the reason the land increased in value so much is because of these zoning restrictions that were lifted. So now the next people that are going to take it over, it's like, well, good luck with them. Let's see what they think affordable is, you know. And it was just one of those things where somebody mentioned O'Devany Gardens, and then I was like, fuck, I forgot about O'Devany Gardens. Let's see how that's going again. And then I looked up O'Devany Gardens, and anyway, the whole day I just went down a rabbit hole of like remembering controversies and horrible things that have happened from years gone by. It's like,
that's always good, Gary. I mean, there's not enough miserable things happening currently. You got to go down, take out the classics, some of the old, the big hits of the last decade. Well, it reminded me of the one where the Gary Gannon clip. I don't know if you've seen it, where he basically he was a councillor at the time and voted to sell off this public land to Bartra Capital, and there was a lot of people who Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael, they're like, you know, this is the best thing to do because we need homes, whereas all these kind of people like in the Soc Dems, they were kind of like, I'm not like these socialists who are into purity politics. This is what he was saying to Ailish Ryan from the Workers' Party at the time. But one of the things he said that somebody isolated was him going, we live in a society. And people were like, oh my God, Gary Gannon's been Joker-fied, you know. Maybe I'm completely mixing this up, but was Gary Gannon also the man who talked about how brave men like Count Markovich laid down their lives for us in 1916?
Oh my God, I don't know. Let me see.
I
don't think so. But no, I don't. It sounds too nationalistic for Gannon. Gannon is like, you know, he's very like milquetoast centrist, but wearing the kind of like, he's the type of person who would be like, oh, I don't wear a tie, but I have this distinctive beard and I'm kind of like scruffy, and I you know what, I'll go in and I'll hold truth to power in there, and that's why I'm needed in there, and that's why I have to do all these awful votes, because if I'm in there yelling at the government is better than me out here, you know, it's
better in the tent pissing in. Well, I guess that doesn't count for that, but yes, I'm taking them down from the inside.
But, you know, inside the tent, pissing out, except you're also inside the tent, you're pissing in the tent as well, do you know?
Yes, yeah. Well, if someone's going to be pissing in the tent, it may as well be me.
Yeah. During the week, I listened to the Stefanie Preissner's podcast, Basically, with Stefanie Preissner. And every episode has the title format, what's the story with? And it'll be like, one of the ones that I saw was, what's the story with Afghanistan name of some professor, do you know? What's the story with housing, Dara? What's the story with... Well, no, actually, it was what's the story with being like Minister for Finance, Pascal? But she has on all the like Fine Gaelers and Fianna Fáilers and stuff, and she's been out last year with the mother and baby homes. She was coming out to bat for Roderick O'Gorman, saying like, actually, the Attorney General told him to do it, so maybe sit this one out. And it turns out she has like a lot of followers who the podcast gets a lot of listens. And she kind of has this thing about being like, I'm just trying to adult and I'm trying to explain these concepts in a big way, do you know? And like these big concepts in a way that you people will understand. But it ultimately it was discovered as well that she worked for Anne Rabbitt, who's a Fianna Fáiler. And she'd been a staunch Fine Gaeler, like, just like a right-wing politician, a centre right to right person, you know?
Spokesperson.
Yeah. So there was a podcast released there on Monday or Sunday, and it was what's the deal with housing for all? And it was about the minister's bill, and I was like, and she was talking about with Paul Hosford, who was one of the journalists who broke Golfgate back in 2020, and I was
the
like,
distant past.
Yeah. So I was like, that's interesting. I wonder what Paul Hosford has to say. But I just kind of couldn't. I just had to kind of gear myself to listen to it, and I did. But she was literally like, there was no criticisms of the bill at all. It was like, let's try and look on the positives. What's good about this bill? And then at the end, she put down like, okay, and here's the stuff about renting, do you know? But when she was looking at the renting, it was always from the perspective of somebody who owns property. Like there was one thing.
How much rental income will you be able to get by 2030?
Like one of the questions she legitimately asked was, let's say that you fall on hard times and you have a second property that you want to move back into. Like, can you evict those tenants if this thing is in place about indefinite, leases?
Yeah. Well, where in that situation, where are you living?
Yeah,
in your other property.
Yeah, but that's another thing. It's like, well, I just found that so strange. Like, because and then one point in it, she asks, basically, one of the main criticisms that Paul Hosford brings up is that the bill isn't ambitious enough, okay? But he doesn't, he's a journalist, so he doesn't say that personally. He says, opposition have said that this isn't ambitious enough. And then she's like, but like, isn't it easy to say like, it isn't ambitious enough? Maybe they're just promising what they can deliver. And the market's going to provide, obviously, because why wouldn't they? Because they want to sell houses, okay? Next question, okay, is... She talks about NIMBYism, okay, and how people have an interest in maintaining their house prices, okay?
Yeah.
And I was like, you just answered your own fucking question. Do you know what I mean? Be like, well, but why wouldn't it be in these people's interest to sell houses? Because they want to artificially keep the rents up so they can keep like their assets at high prices, do you know? Like, it's intentional, it's deliberate, but it's like... What she's saying here is like, oh, we just have to take the government at their word. And actually, yes, I was born yesterday. So what did they say? Do you know? It's like all you have to do is look at the track record. And then like yesterday, while the episode was released, it turned out that Dara O'Brien lied about something that was in the bill itself. Okay. He said that there was something, basically I didn't really follow the bill all that much. I mean, I did insofar as I was like, what's the consensus from the people I trust? Not good? Okay. Because I'm not like, because when you have like Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael, it's like, you fool me once, okay? Yeah. Like I'm not. And yeah, I'm sorry, I'm going I'm talking too much. But I'm just saying
I wonder what could they have said that was going to be ambitious enough? I wonder why they didn't just like swing for the fences.
Oh, absolutely. Like why wouldn't
this seems to be what they're going to be. I mean, who's going to be annoyed with them? Developers that they've done everything for the last 20 years, they know that it's all just going to be like, empty promises.
Exactly.
So the deadlines are like, we'll have it done by 2030 when in all likelihood, like none of us will be in power. Or as in like none of us Yeah, why not just fucking, if you're gonna lie, go big?
I mean, this is what I'm saying, you know.
Who are you scaring?
She's talking about that, like, you know, they're only saying what they can do. And it's like, maybe they should be more aspirational. Maybe they should come up with something. Here is it. Sorry. The central bank told Prime Time, opening up, that it is currently considering the government's proposed shared equity scheme, contradicting Housing Minister Darragh O'Brien, who claimed the bank had already approved the measure. And this is like, so it's also after he lied about co-living as well. Do you remember he said, that is a ban on co-living, except for all the ones that have already been approved. And the ones that, like, because day one, he could have abolished co-living, but chose not to. He chose to, like, let's investigate this throughout the summer. Have a big old noodle about it. Then by Christmas, they were like, actually, this is shit. Let's not do it anymore. But at that point, he'd already been lobbied. It'd been known that he'd been lobbied by these co-living development groups. And then on top of that, all these applications had already been put in, and
their argument for co-living is always that there is, you know, there's a type of person who does want to live in co-living, and that type of person would have been me like 10 years ago. But what you want to be doing is also paying next to nothing for it.
Oh, absolutely.
I think that's the bit they always leave out. And I was like, there's plenty of people who'd love an opportunity just to, like, all you want is a bed. You want to go out. You're living. You're young. You're living in a vibrant city. Like, yeah, but that person doesn't want to be paying €800 a month to. Well, I don't know what is the figure for living in co-living.
I think it's like 1,000, honestly, like 1,200 about there. Like that's the kind of going rate for like. But anyhow, so that was that. That was like. Just all it was just kind of insufferable and twee how but you also feel it's very insidious. It's this thing where it's like, me no, I'm just asking the experts, and gosh, wouldn't you know it, I'm asking all the experts who just seem to confirm what the government is already doing. And actually, if you think it's not working, then it's because you don't even know how to freaking adult. I didn't know how to adult, and now I found out that the government's actually doing pretty freaking good.
It can't be solved overnight, Gareth. I can't stress that enough. It just, you know, you're looking for quick answers. You're looking for quick answers, and you've been looking for quick answers for 10 years. And I keep telling you, it just can't be done overnight, you know.
This strange thing, because when I was looking up the O'Devany thing, I remembered a nugget of information that I had to really hunt high and low to find, okay? But essentially with the O'Devany Gardens, one of the things that the councillors were told is that they have the plans ready to go, so they can start construction at like 5 or 6 months from now. So the construction would have been started in 2020, except once they were sold the land, they went back and added more units to the private supply so they could make a bit more profit. And now it's been approved, and construction should start sometime next year. Do you know? And you're just like, fuck this shit. Do you know, like, you can't even do the thing that you say that you're going to do. You're like, and then we're supposed to trust these people with it, and it's like, I know, like, I don't even know if Stefanie Preissner owns a house, because she has to live in Dublin. So even on the fucking income that she's presumably getting, I mean, I don't know what income she's getting. What could she be getting as like a writer and podcaster? But her husband or partner, fiance, I don't know, he works for Fianna Fáil, for Anne Rabbitte. Yes. So like, they won't be long looking for. And that's why her focus, she does this thing about renting. One of the things she did was, like, she talked about the ERG or something like that, like, you know, that retrofitting houses and apartments. And she says, well, I know what it was like because I was cold in my apartment. And then she drops that, and then she goes on about, like, oh yeah, but I can turf the people out of my second home if I fall on hard times, can't I? Do you know, and it's kind of like, you don't see yourself, you think that this is stuff for idiots. You say, like, I am like you, I am a young person, I have all the same problems, but we're not in the same fucking boat, because you know that you're going to be okay someday, whereas a lot of other people out there renting don't feel that security. Do you know? Okay, sorry, we talked for ages and I don't want to keep you too much longer, but I absolutely 100% have to ask you, we have to talk about Zappone, because today is culminating on the motion of no confidence that could be happening right now that Sinn Féin put forward. And I really want to talk about it, because one of the things that happened was there's a lot of bellyache, and first of all, there was other little revelations with the Zappone thing, but I don't know how much more you need. And you know, the story was kind of lumbering on. One point that I'll make is that I kind of felt frustrated by the commentariat and the journalists, because they don't seem to either they know they have power and they don't use it, or they think that they're completely just powerless, subjective, witnesses to all this. Because like I saw this tweet by Philip Ryan, because Philip Ryan's been going fucking, for some fucking reason, although I have my theory about that, he's going like really at them over this particular scandal.
Was it Philip Ryan who, it was him who sandbagged Micheál Martin there the other day?
Yeah,
Do you want to take this time to apologise
exactly
to all of the other people you've left in your wake?
Yeah, and he's like,
Barry Cowens of this world.
Let's say this, okay? Basically, there was a time in the middle of the summer where they performed some sort of Rebecca Vardy type reveal where they thought that some minister, it's a minister, was leaking documents, okay? And then they intentionally leaked a document to them, and a journalist then got in touch, meaning that, oh, this guy leaked the document, cool. So we give reprimand to him. Now, we don't know who that minister is, Simon Harris, but, allegedly. But I'm thinking in my head, I was like, is the reason that Philip Ryan is so pissed off is because he was the journalist who got had in that whole thing? And he's like, fuck you. You're telling me you're lying in freedom of information. You're telling me that now I don't have Simon Harris, and now I can't even trust the words that come out of my precious Leo's mouth, and I co-wrote your biography, do you know? So anyhow, that's why I have this feeling, or maybe that's the reason, but he will always stop short of announcing, there has to be a general election. This government is too corrupt. There has to be a general election. Because Regina Doherty tweeted out something like, oh, they're calling for a general election. And he's like, oh, I don't remember doing that. Whoa, she really jumped the gun. And I was like, why the fuck aren't you doing that? What's wrong with you? What's the logical conclusion of you dragging this out? What do you want from this? I don't know if any of them want to. I don't know. Does anyone want to call a general election now? I think all the schools are back.
Féin, all the schools are barely back. A wet week, the colleges aren't back.
But they're determined to be the pandemic's over. So it's kind of like, well, either it's over or it's not. So now we can have a fucking election, surely, because of all your corruption and bullshit.
Yeah, you'd imagine this. I don't know. The next couple of months until Christmas is probably going to be similar to last year. A lot of teeth gnashing and should we open everything up or close everything down? There'll be spikes and waves. All the old. I guess they don't know when the vaccine will be waning off, but presumably the people who got it last January, February will start to
need boosters apparently. But then there's
heading right into winter.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, I can't imagine anyone wants to. But come springtime, But they always, the governments always fall down over the stupidest. It's always the last straw. Trying to tax shoes or lying about deleting texts seems too serious. I think something else stupid is going to happen in the next couple of months, and that'll kick it off.
I think it's it's not only lying about text, it was deleting them, and then also the freedom of information request that they said the text didn't exist, and then it turned out that is lying about text, but it's kind of, and then giving a position to a former cabinet colleague without actually putting it out to tenure so that anybody could apply. Do you know?
Well, ostensibly, is that why Philip Ryan said he was tenure? Or it maybe that is why the media is annoyed, because this is the Freedom of Information Act is supposed to be, that's their whole jam, if they can't rely on that, then. But I was talking to my mum about the Sapone thing over the weekend. She was like, oh, it's such a waste of time they're taking up all this.
Yeah, but that's
it's just a stupid thing to move on. It is a waste of time, but then I was like, when I was a teenager, if you asked me to show you a text and I was like, oh, I deleted them all, you'd be like, not a hope. That's so why would anyone believe that? Who would accept that at face value? Or even it's such a bad lie.
Yeah, I know.
And as with all political scandals, it's the lying and cover up that gets you.
Well, I think it's because Coveney is so fucking bad at lying as well. Because one of his thing was they're like, why are you deleting text messages? Oh, because I got hacked. You got hacked? It was this whole thing, it was just are you trying to fucking keep your job? You're the Minister of Defence who got hacked and didn't tell anybody. And then on top of that,
he took care of it internally, what's he going to go run into the Gardaí? He took care of it a Minister for Defence should do. But
I think the thing what your mum is correctly excuse me, it is a big deal. I think it's massive. But I think that because there's no pressure valve for that release of something like the threat of a general election, because they don't want to do anything because their pensions are tied up in it, them staying in however many years, and then because like they don't fancy their chances, it means that like, and then Sinn Féin stand to make a lot of gains as well as other left-wing parties. But or centre left as well. But anyway, the point is that there's no appetite from the media or the elites to have an election. So what ends up happening is people just get fatigued. They're just like, fuck it, who gives a shit? I just want to not talk about this anymore. And it's like, I hate that that's what's happened to it. Do you know?
But I think, it does. It's a bit annoying that we're all part of like I don't know, like. You're kind of acutely aware that the whole thing is just a song and dance, so that there'll be a vote of no confidence, he'll get by, but then in 6 months when there is an election, it'll just be one more thing that they can be like, it'll be one more tweet that goes around with the now iconic, Green Party, Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael voting this way, Sinn Féin and everyone else voting the other way. It's just 6 weeks to get to that point, and that's all that it'll. But it'll just be another thing that you can put on an election poster in a couple of months.
I think one last thing I'd just say, because there was Gavin Riley was like, interviewing Mary Lou McDonald in front of the Sinn Féin Thinking or whatever it is, the parliamentary party meetings, and he was like, how come you didn't go to like, I don't know what the term was, he called it like a motion to censor instead of a motion of no confidence, because that would have likely passed. And it's just this feeling of like, if it could pass, then what's the fucking point? Do you know? Because it's clearly not a threat to the government then, do you know? And a motion of censure I looked it up, is basically going like, oh, you really shouldn't have done that. And that we put that here. We say that really shouldn't have happened. Or it's like, if you can't put a motion of no confidence for a minister who lied, at the very least you should lose your minister. You don't even have to resign as a TD. But should you be a minister if you're lying, deleting messages, offering positions to people who were former cabinet colleagues, and also on top of that, you had your phone fucking hacked? It's like, you sound like a doofus, you know?
Well, yeah, I assume he didn't actually have his phone hacked.
No, he didn't. It was a phishing scam, which is apparently different for reasons that I don't personally know.
Oh, sure. I mean, yeah, well, it's we all get phishing scams every day. It's just ever since I assume you're the same. Ever since the HSE hack, I've been getting several scam phone calls, guys. I mean, that's a phishing scam. Just someone ringing you up and being like, please report to the. So, you can see, I'm sure you had at least that in the last year.
I can't, but no, actually, I haven't. But people were like, oh, why is that happening? But I had no idea it was because of the HSE hacks.
Oh, and now I don't think it's. I've just noticed everyone been talking about it since then. So it seems likely that. I know they said our information wasn't lost, but all of a sudden, I don't put my.
I think you're correct. I think you're right.
I don't think paranoid's the right word. I'm just quite. I don't know, stubborn with these things. I don't put my number in anything to the point where if I order a package, I'll miss it, and they may be like, well, we rang you and you didn't there. It's like, well, I forgot I put a fake number on it. That's my fault. But so my number isn't out there anywhere, and ever since the HSE hack, I've just been getting non-stop calls. That makes a lot of sense to me. So I wouldn't. That is a wild swing. I was talking to this. I've been writing a thing about the Moriarty Tribunal recently.
No fucking way. Is that coming out? Is that a podcast thing, or is it?
Yeah, well, it'll come out in about 3 months. But,
oh my God, I can't wait. I really want to hear that. I'm always trying to hear more about the Moriarty Tribunal. It still makes It's just fascinating. Yeah, I don't know. But one of the things that came up in it was Mr. Coveney's dad, Hugh Coveney. Ooh.
I don't know if you ever heard that story, that he was a Fine Gael TD and was in the Department of Finance in the mid-90s. He got caught up in the Moriarty Tribunal because he had an account in Qatar, and I can't remember any of the details, but if you've got an account in Qatar while working in the government in Ireland in the 90s, that's straight away red flags.
Yeah.
And he got tied up in the thing, and then a couple of days after it got into the news, I'm pretty sure the timeline was he went to his lawyer, changed his will, And then the very next day, went out for a walk along a cliffside and died, fell in and died. And his family maintains that it wasn't suicide, that it was just a coincidence. But an interesting story. And I know like the sins of the father and sins of the son and all that sort of stuff. But it is like I watched an interview with Simon Coveney where he was like, no, I mean, my dad, he just was embroiled in a national scandal, changed his will, then fell off a cliff, as would happen in any given week to any citizen of this fair nation. But
once again, another example of Simon Coveney unable to no, I didn't say that.
Yeah,
I didn't say that.
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean,
parody.
It's so funny, it's obviously it is a tragedy, but it's odd to think of a time when a civil servant would go to like suicide's a big swing. For something that, I mean, tax evasion, that was just like, and what came out of the Moriarty Tribunal? Nothing.
Nothing. This is the thing when you hear about these tribunals. I was like, yeah, we'll take it under advisement. Actually, this is a little funny diversion, just real quick, but there, that misogyny that was in the group chat for the Green Party there recently down in like Cork. I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah.
But this lady, she wrote like one of the she was an independent who was a subject of a load of harassment in this, and she decided that she wrote up a big letter, and it's actually quite a touching letter. I'd recommend people read it, and she's talking about how the difficulties of being a woman in politics and how all of these things that they said there as negatives would be positives with a man. It's all true, and even though it's all a little bit, you hate writing these things, but they continue to be true. But anyway, Hazel True just responded, just because of what you were saying about tribunals, it came to mind. Hi Alyssa, thank you for writing this. I wanted to say I've received a copy of your letter and that you've sent to me and others, and I will ask for it to be read and reflected on at the Green Party executive. It's like, no sanctions against this guy, by the way, for calling this lady a cunt, okay? And then this woman who's like, we need more female senators, we need more female TDs, it's like, yeah, okay. I'll give it an old think about that at the Green Party.
I'll make sure they read it.
Yeah.
In the last month, over COVID, some local people here have been doing up the park beside my house, and it looks fucking class compared to like it was a shithole about a year ago. Yeah. But the latest addition to it, we got 3 new benches given to us by Hazel Chew as part of. But I don't know why it just rubs me up the wrong way, but there's a plaque on each of them, and it's like they're dedicated to the memory of those we lost in COVID or something like that. And then brought to you by Hazel Chew in the same sort of like John Carpenter's The Thing, where it's an equal font being like, I don't know. Like fucking dedicated to COVID. Don't put your name on it.
Don't put your name on it. It's very tasteless.
It is, and I don't know. That was just, I thought, a bad move.
Oh, she's kind of really shameless, if I'm honest, I mean, I mean, she's a counsellor as well, and she's well regarded. She has a high profile. Like, she goes on News Talk, and they keep comparing it to fucking AOC. And it's not too crazy to say that, because, it's like they have kind of century left politics, basically no follow through. And people seem to believe that they're like socialists, kind of Trotskyists,
But what little Asian girls in Dublin need to see is they just need to see her being there, and they need to see her name on benches. And if she had have got that job in the Senate, that would have been great for them to see that as well. She doesn't actually have to do anything. She just needs to be. They just need to see her out there.
I mean, but then she can do that without being in the Greens as well. I just don't understand why. It's, the thing is, like, if she espouses to believe all the stuff that she claims, then she should have left the Greens a long time ago, and she has enough of a profile that she could leverage it anyway. So I don't know what the fucking deal is,
Yeah, but then what would she... I thought she was going to leave the Greens and start her own new... What happened to that new...
No, she was going to leave the Greens and join the Soc Dems, or she was at least talking with them. But no, Lorna Bogue left the Greens and she started ARG. I know they're not the same, but there was a lot of talk about her starting a party, and she did. And I don't know. I don't know what I think of ARG. Jury's out.
It's a great name, if nothing else.
But yeah, the big thing that we had, the motion of no confidence, there's been a lot of belly aching from the Fianna Fáil backbenches saying like, oh, I don't know if I'm going to be able to vote for this thing that I'm definitely going to vote for. But fucking Mark McSherry has, what's the, fuck. The whole thing rested on me landing this, and I didn't have the link ready. Breaking from RTE News. Fianna Fáil TD Mark McSherry has resigned from the parliamentary party and will vote no confidence in Foreign Minister Simon Coveney.
Oh.
So this has suddenly meant that Sinn Féin has more seats in the Dáil now than Fianna Fáil. They have 37 to Fianna Fáil's 36. But on top of that, he fucking actually did it. The Lula. I like
the mad lad. But then does that not so shit? Well then, if the party whip is gone, does that not imply that they might not be all? He was there to whip them into shape, and he's gone and voting no.
No, I don't think he's the whip. I thought Jack Chambers was the whip.
How is Jack Chambers is a whipper snap? More like
whoa,
wow, damn! How is he? Oh, maybe he is. I don't know. I'm just jealous of his success because he's like a year younger than me, and he
fucking sucks. He's the worst.
He is, but he's at least he's successful at being an absolute bollocks.
Yeah, he's buoyed by he's basically like fucking Ben Shapiro. He's one of these people who's like, wow, you're a conservative and you're that age, like. We can find a space for you here. We will platform you.
Absolutely.
And then he talks to...
Not all young people hate our ideals. Look at this token young man that we have.
And then he talks to like another person around the same age as him, and he's like a fucking alien, do you know?
Yes, yeah. Fair. Yeah, Mark McSherry resigns Fianna Fáil party whip. Yeah. I don't know.
But that's pretty cool. I mean, he's going to say something completely stupid and racist and offensive soon, and I'm going to hate him. But for this, like, few hours, we're going to give Mark. Even in his resignation letter, he still kind of went dog whistly. Yeah. Let me find what he said because it was actually quite funny. Because it was true, but also not for the reasons that he thinks. You know. So let's see.
I'm getting a lot of pressure from those sort of people. I think we all know who I'm talking about.
Yeah. And I was like, yeah, we do. The bankers, the elites. But,
I think we do.
Yeah. Also, there's currently a housing protest going on outside Leinster House. And apparently some people there, anti-vaxxers, have taken the opportunity to meld in with them, which is really unfortunate. Nice. But hopefully there's good numbers. I hope you're at it. I'm not. I'm in Kilkenny. I should have come up, but didn't. The money wasn't there for me. What was it? In a letter to Micheál Martin, McSherry said, quote, all Fianna Fáil party positioning and policy are being determined in a fashion consistent with an undemocratic totalitarian regime rather than that of a democratic socialist Republican party of and for the people.
Yes.
And I was like, fuck yeah. Because basically saying it's like, are you for real? We turfed out like some of our own guys for less than this, and Vradker and him are going to walk. And why? So we can have a government, so we can play like lapdog to them. At least he's like consistent in that, where he's just like, no, I'm fucking like, you know, what's the expression? Die on your feet or live on your knees. It's like, no, I have more. Yeah. He's officially got more self-respect than Micheál Martin, because like he's just at this, because like as bad and all as he is, okay, he thought maybe he could get a few more people to go with him, and then there was probably a part of him which was like, fuck, I really don't want to do this, but he's just like, oh fuck it, you know, he's just like, I can't not do it, I can't, and like that stubbornness is at least kind of, you know.
Yeah, but I mean, there's a time-honored tradition, especially for Fianna Fáil TDs, that if you get out at the right time, you've got a pretty cushy career as just an annoying independent. Yeah, you can just become Fianna Fáil in all but name, and then you'll also have the extra kudos of like, he was the one, he stuck it to them. He wasn't, you know, he wouldn't go
Oh,
along.
absolutely. Now it's a real opportunity for him to become the politician I think he's always wanted to be, which is exactly as you're saying, a rural crank, you know?
Yes.
Which constituency is he actually? I shouldn't even say that.
Yeah, he could be Dublin South.
Yeah, imagine. Oh my God. Yeah. No, he's for Sligo Leitrim, so we're all good.
Ah, he's got it made in the,
he's
the shade.
fucking-
That's amazing. You become
No, you have it forever. King, you made the right call, do you know?
angry parish pump politician for the rest of the time.
No, big time.
Was that was the big news story then you were talking about up front?
No, I
it?
was...
Oh, okay.
Because I really didn't think he was going to do it.
Interesting.
I thought he was going to be like, no, I'm going to battle them from the inside. But as you say, he weighed up his options and discovered that, no, fuck, I got a better chance with this racket instead of the other.
Excellent.
So that's that. We did. Simon Coveney's still going to win this motion of no confidence handily, I'd say.
Well, I don't know. I'm just gonna go rowing against you because if I'm wrong, no one will remember, and if I'm right, I'll be like, oh, look at that.
Yeah.
It'd just be interesting. It would be interesting to have an election this side of Christmas.
Oh my God, yeah. No, whatever it is, it can't be worse, you know?
That's I don't know. Yeah, there's been many a times when people have said that.
Well, that's also
absolutely
true.
wrong.
I love it because, with Sinn Féin, basically, as far as I'm concerned, it's like we're pretty much the same on most things, except for housing, where we're slightly better. And I was like, I'll take it. I'll fucking take it. Do you know what I mean? It's like they're kind of, they wear the costume, because like one of the things that happened as well is they apparently bowed to pressure. They abstained on a vote in Dublin South. It was another kind of selling off public land to make, oh great, we have 600 and whatever unaffordable homes for people in the area, and but they were like, let's just abstain on this one. It's like,
yeah, but I mean, like every time there's a housing project suggested in a Sinn Féin area, all of a sudden they're like, it's not the right kind of housing, or it's not, if all of the things that they rejected getting built. I mean, again, it's just going like, fuck, I don't know. But as far as I'm aware, like the solution is just build. And if they, like, it's not going to be one apartment block mightn't be perfect, but if all of the apartment blocks that they've like stopped over the last couple of years had all been built, then they mightn't have started off as affordable, but there's enough stuff on the market.
Honestly, I don't even believe that had happened, because one of the things that would even disprove that is during COVID, the Airbnbs had to go back on the market as rentals. 60% increase in rental properties in Dublin, and rent went up. Like,
is that true? Like,
that's true.
Airbnb hardly made up 60% of the properties.
No, there was a 60% increase in the amount of rental properties.
In available rentals?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But so who knows? Like maybe that figure. But either way, the whole thing about like supply, in preventing house prices from going up or stopping the rents. Like there's so many stories of like investment funds can come in and buy up swathes of them, and they can leave them vacant. It doesn't matter. And then the other thing is there's some people who are contracted on a certain rate but are paying a different one, because obviously they know that these funds,
in the long, I know there is all those sort of stuff in the stories, those things. I've seen, who knows how true it was. It was a picture I saw on the internet, so it can be taken as gospel truth. But the idea of people going around now posting cards through letterboxes being like, I was a tenant here in 2019 and this is what I was paying. If you're paying anything above, that plus 4% or whatever, we've got ourselves a case against the landlord. Which is a very cool. I hope that is actually happening on some sort of citywide effort.
There's big chunks of my friends who just moved because of stuff like that, where the landlord comes in, installs a curtain, and now can put it back in the market.
Or their second cousin twice removed is coming home from Azerbaijan and they want to move in there for the foreseeable future, and then 2 months later, what do you know, they've moved back home again.
I know, exactly.
And then that's, maybe this is an unpopular opinion, but like there's definitely a place for like investment companies going in and buying property before like citizens have a chance to buy it, fuck that. But I live in a block that's run by an investment company, and it's certainly the like most straightforward living situation I've ever had.
Right, yeah.
Like I've lived. So yeah, I don't know what's the middle ground then. Like I've lived with small town. I've lived in houses that were just like some guy from Tipperary who got a house from his parents and has no idea how to be a landlord and is like, I don't know. This is a specific example now. I've gotten too specific, but he was a cowboy, and like that's like you don't want that as a landlord either. Like, so who should rent houses?
I know. I mean, I think you're right there as well. That like, basically, it's not like who should rent them. It's like the regulations that are there and regulations that need to be added and enforced. Because like one of the things that Katu brought up, there's a great podcast on the Reboot Republic podcast, the Roy Hearn one, where they were talking to a member of Katu, and you can have. Sorry, basically what she was saying was like, yeah, these regulations are there, but landlords know that they don't have to follow them. And if you follow Katu online, you see how often there's illegal evictions taking place. And they just hope that people don't know their rights. Like up in Phibsborough, there was that eviction where they just kicked down the door. The property got bought by... The landlord didn't even know that the property had been bought by another company because there's something to do with the bank. Some guy... Yeah. Bunch of guys in masks show up at the door, kick in the door, remove the tenants with the help of the guards, and then by the time it's like seen as like, oh, this is an illegal eviction, they've already like destroyed the toilet out of like a bitterness. Like they smashed up this porcelain toilet.
Yeah, or like, if you can't use that, you're less likely to hang around here.
Yeah, exactly. It's that type of shit where they just like throw your stuff out, and it's like, oh, well, it turns out you were wrong. Oh, my mistake, move back in. It's like, oh, my fucking stuff is on the ground. Do you know what I mean? And it's like...
Yeah.
It's this thing where it's like, there's regulations, but they're either not enforced, ignored, or not strong enough. And it's like, I'm not going to pretend like you have an investment company that could be shit landlords. You have individuals, small-time landlords who can be even fucking worse,
Yes.
But ultimately, like, if there's... So there's nothing to do to prevent that necessarily, unless we live in eventually some sort of communist utopia. Socialist, whatever, I don't know.
Well, I don't know. Well, I feel like in the last few years, there has been regulation to push Airbnb out and small landlords out. And if you move towards a situation where people either own their homes or owned an apartment, or it was rented out by some, multinational company that was just, to them, you were just another number in a box, which, to be honest...
It could also be the government,
Yeah, the government as well, which is the funny thing that, like, historically, the one thing Fianna Fáil were good at, well, whatever, they were the party of the people, but they knew how to build houses, and they could build they just trucked it out. They could build estates overnight and get people housed. But, in fairness, the entire population of people who could build houses emigrated in 2010.
I mean, this is it. Yeah,
it like, in fairness, they're not doing a perfect job, but in fairness, it's not the best situation to be in. Like, you're very much still paying for the sins of 2008, 2009, 10.
Yeah, it's the same people. Micheál Martin is Taoiseach. It's like...
Sure, yeah. But like, it seems like a lifetime ago, but it was literally like 10 years ago, which means that they haven't replaced. So the idea of just like, whenever I listen to David Williams, and he's always just like, we just need to get it done. Get out there and get it built. And I can't remember the guy's name, the other guy in the podcast, John or whatever. He'd be like, yeah, I get you, but like, how should we do it? It's like, listen, just get out there, boots on the ground, get it done. It's like, but most people who are so loads of people emigrated who were like able to build houses, and trades were actively discouraged for those years, which means even now, like, you're probably going to get into a situation where apprentices are coming out qualified, and then COVID hit and Brexit, which means all the places where we get supplies for buildings have been like,
absolutely,
that's all been cut off for 2 years. So I'm not entirely sure that this is what happened, but you can picture a situation where Sinn Féin gets in the next 6 months, and then all the sort of backlog of shit for housing
Yeah.
kicks into gear, and all of a sudden we see active change, and everyone's like, thank God for Sinn Féin.
No, I mean, I don't expect that at all.
Within 2 weeks of this, I don't know. Listen, I'm an optimistic boy, but I think that all of the shit. It's been a bad couple of years for housing, and I think it is finally something's gonna break, and it will.
I don't know about that.
It almost has to correct itself in the next couple of years, but
I think it could be. It'll take probably 10 years. You know, even if they started actually undoing all the shit that they did tomorrow, it would still take 10 years.
Well, that's the aim, is to get it done by 2030.
Fuckers. God damn.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah.
I think that is the deadline for housing for all, is it?
Probably, I don't know. I mean, I think that it's still. Yeah, no, I'm just going to end up repeating myself, but we're still living in a kind of developer-led housing system. And until there's like a radical change of thinking, nothing is really going to start changing. We might see what they're hoping for is short-term benefits that their base will see. But I think that they're basically doing, what's that one? Triaging, you know? Fuck, we need to, the squeezed middle, wink, wink, we need to really focus on them. Everybody else can go and fucking hang, especially renters. And I think that they're just like, they work week to week as opposed to, I don't even know why they bother putting in 2030, because it's like they do not think in decades, you know?
No. Well, and that's, but even like they did the squeeze middle, and I don't know, that like the next election, it's their kids, and like, so even if you're taking it at face value that Fine Gael, Fianna Fáil don't give a shit about anyone under 40 that doesn't already have a home, it's their kids and now their grandkids that are going to emigrate, and they can't afford to live here and can't stay here. So even it's gotten to a stage where it's the knock-on effect on the people that the government does care about and whose votes that they want.
I just don't know where those older people are going to go. Like, they don't. I think they just are like, it's like a Trump situation. It's like, I just got to hold my nose and vote for all this because I only care about two things, which is the price of my fucking asset and the fucking unwashed not coming anywhere near me. Do you know?
Yeah. But even even eventually they'll see that, like, what they also care about is being close to their families, and their families are being driven out of the country. But then, they're not going to go to Sinn Féin.
No way.
Even now that they've cleared out all of the scary older people from Sinn Féin.
I mean, even then, like, Sinn Féin have some fucking councillors which are like relics. They're just like people who you just be like, Christ, you know?
Yeah. Which is a funny situation after the last election where people were like, oh God, if only Sinn Féin had run more people, imagine what could have happened. I mean, like, they were scraping the bottom of the barrel as is, considering who did get in there. Like,
get up,
who would have gotten in there if they did like somehow foresee what was going to happen? But it'd be interesting. Yeah, like it'd be interesting to see where they would go. Maybe,
well, you hope now that like they've consolidated some sort of fucking thing. Do you know what I mean? Of like people who are actually not completely crazy.
Yeah, has there been a big groundswell of like?
I'd imagine so. Like, as soon as people see that it's possible, it's that whole thing about like electability. It's a myth, where it's like, oh, they're not electable. But as soon as people saw that Sinn Féin might actually get it, like with that poll, then it was like, fuck, we're going out to the polls, man. Do you know what I mean? Like, as soon as there was a chance that the hegemony could break. My dad hates Sinn Féin. He's like, even I had to give him a number because I don't want to see these fuckers anymore. Do you know, like, I want to see the back of Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael.
Yeah.
I don't know who he votes for then, honestly, but
that's the interesting question. But it does seem like something that's finally, and whatever, change was the fucking word of the election back in January 2020. So you can only imagine that, like, the next election, whatever that vague idea of change was back then, it's certainly not gone away after 2 years of misery. There's no way people are going to be like, I actually want more of the same.
Not to mention, I think COVID as well has been a real game changer, where it's like overnight.
Oh, that's what I mean. The two years of COVID, people are like, well,
oh, sorry. Yeah.
If I want to change 2 years ago, I absolutely want something radically different now.
Well, I meant more like, you know, because obviously you're like, yeah, no, fuck, this is the worst. I want to change. But then there's the other thing where it's like the change we've been told was impossible for so long. It turns out the Taoiseach at the time can just come out and go, oh, by the way, we're all at home tomorrow for a year. And also the pandemic unemployment payment's gone up, and also evictions are now banned. And you're like, you did that? You did that so fucking quickly. And the whole time you told me that it was impossible, do you know? It's like, yeah, I don't know how long that's going to last, because they want to go back to normal as quickly as possible, which is why they're like trying to force all these people back to school, back to work. But, you know, Varadkar constantly saying since day one, don't get used to this. This money's coming back to us somehow.
Well, your neighbour, man. What the hell's his name? Pat McDonough, is it? Mr. Supermax?
Yeah.
I heard he was on Galway Bay Radio there the other day talking about how, sure, half the people left in the pub now. I can't get anyone to work in Supermax. They're all over in Eastern Europe collecting the pub, probably collecting 2 pubs, you know? And sure, why would they go back to work? Now, he's no facts or figures to back that up.
He doesn't know fucking anybody who works for him, you know.
He's got he's got a gut feeling, and that's worth more than all the numbers you can throw at a man.
To quote Malcolm Tucker, despite its what was the one where he says, like, I just know it in my gut, you know, and then he goes, well, despite how considerable your gut is, we're going to go with this thing instead, you know. Anyway, whatever. He's a fat fuck. That's what I'm trying to get at. And then the other thing is, actually, that would be a good thing to then, you know, wrap it up on this little fun story. We've been talking way too long, and I've already blown past the deadline that I had to.
You have to go at 7 o'clock. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, well, I fucked it. So, and there's, but basically, you know, you were just saying there about like, oh, nobody's coming back to work at my shitty restaurant. But there was a tweet today that's been causing a bit of consternation, where a guy was looking for his last check from the job that he worked at. And so his last check, I don't know what it would be like, but it's got to be in the hundreds, do you know? And it was some restaurant called like Alfie or something. And the guy's like, show up and get it. And he shows up, and there's a mayonnaise, like a giant fucking mayonnaise bucket filled with coppers, you know, like 5-cent pieces. And he's like, should all be there. And it's like, yeah, well, go back and work for that fucking guy. Do you know what I mean? Like, and like all these employers that have been constantly talking about it. And once again, I got to call out Gavin Riley for being a fucking dork, okay? Because he was like, don't stand for this. Section paragraph 33A from the employers, close brackets, says that you are entitled. And I was like, Jesus. No, well, first of all, I'm obviously not quoting the number directly, but basically in this like Labour Relations Act, he was like, you're entitled to get that in 50-cent coins was his solution, basically. And you just have this thing where it's like, you know, and people are saying, "Oh no, don't punish all employers because of this bad experience. You know, go to the appropriate bodies." Who do you fucking go to? It's all bullshit. Like, how about just all these employers get a fucking taste? You know, like I've seen people giving out about it and saying like, "Oh, you know, there's good businesses that'll have to close." It's like, well, don't fucking close, because I was walking the streets when there was no jobs, handing CVs into places, getting laughed out of it. It's like, this is the precious capitalism we all live in. It's like. Yeah. I'm really sorry for you, but I didn't sign up to not have a job for the old times that I didn't have one. Just like you probably didn't sign up for the fact that people don't fucking need your job. Do you know? I don't know.
I just wanted to check it. That's like Alfie's on Seth William Street.
Yes, Seth William Street.
Alfie's in. Man, fuck that place.
Yeah, no, definitely. Alfie's. I've never even known it. South William Street.
Yeah, it's just like a fucking shit restaurant on South William Street. Yeah, but it's that. Do you remember that like old fucking? I don't know, like the email that your uncles would send around or whatever, of that story of like Samsung trying to pay, were fined by Apple, and they stuck it to them by paying them in truckloads of coins up, and if you did the maths on how many coins they would have needed to pay their billion fine, it would have. I don't know. Most of County I think like down. But I guess it's just that the guy who owns Alfie probably heard that story and was like, yeah, class.
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
I can't wait to stick it to the big dogs of Apple by fucking over my employee.
I think it's like, it's the other thing is that it's baby talk. Like, you know, basically employers have enjoyed for a long time, you know, skilled labor at low cost, and everybody has been eager to get a job. And now the first hint that people don't want, it's like, no, you have to defer to me. How dare you? Do you know? And I was thinking back again to the Dublin bus drivers who voted down by like a very hefty margin, over 90%, against something that would have meant that they got paid more, but they would be working a lot harder.
Shitter hours.
And shitter hours. And it's like, I'm glad that this is the era that we're living in, where people can look at a job and go like, no, I don't want to give my time to that. My time actually has value, do you know? And like, that's why they're like, fuck you. You know, you're now that you've quit this job, it's like, this is how much you mean to me. Like, I'm actually taking time out of my day to count fucking coppers into a thing to show you how little your time is worth to me, do you know? To make you feel bad for, you know, make you just annoyed for a week and have to try and figure out how you're going to get rid of a bunch of coppers, you know?
At a great expense to myself.
Yeah.
You know, like that's not an easy, like, I don't know, is it even a prank? But like, that's not an easy thing to do. You need to like go to the bank during open hours and ask them for that amount of coins.
Or like, you know, you're a restaurant, so you have all those coins, and then people are coming in, and then they're just
looking for a change.
It's like, you're like, I'm sorry, we can't. Do you have like an actual tenner? Because we don't have a fucking.
No, I'm doing something here. Okay, get out of here. But yeah, I'm in the middle of punishing someone. Come back later.
But yeah, that's it. That's been the week. I mean, the motion of no confidence, we don't know what's happened with that. But I think we can take a guess. So anyway, Kevin, thank you so much for coming on.
You're very welcome.
Kevin has an amazing history podcast called Shite Talk. Where can people check that out?
Wherever they're listening to this, I guess it's also there. Yeah. Is that it? Do people say that anymore? It's like, where can you find that? It's just everywhere.
It's everywhere. You know, Spotify.
Podcasts are, yeah.
I just say Spotify because most people have Spotify.
It's on Spotify along there beside Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
It's up there in the podcast section.
Yeah, so you heard him, Ligers. We need Shite Talk to beat Joe Rogan by next week. So get listening.
We're so close. We're only... I won't tell you what the number is, but it's an exponential of 10.
But yeah, you can get us at we got www.celticligers.com, patreon.com/celticligers. Become a patron for $5 a month. You get a bonus episode and your name read out in a funny way, but I won't. Kevin doesn't have to endure that, you know.
Yes.
I had a good one this week. What it's going to be is I'm going to read out everybody's name, but they're all going to be Rodney Dangerfield jokes, and I'm going to replace like whatever noun he has in the joke with their name, you know?
Okay, that's pretty good. Which, I mean, we don't have time for it now, but that we didn't even talk about Norm Macdonald.
I know.
Yeah.
I've been really caught up about that. That's where most of my day has gone, is watching clips of Norm Macdonald.
Yeah.
And in some cases, they're the same clips again and again, you know?
It's the first time usually when someone dies, you're like, oh, that's sad. But their best years of output are very much behind them. He was certainly someone I enjoyed still. Like, he was still putting out good stuff.
Like, he was really coming into himself as far as I was concerned, because once I heard he was like battling with cancer for 9 years. He didn't like that. I shouldn't say battling with cancer. He had cancer for 9 years, and he but like, when you then look at, like, I was like, fuck, 9 years. When was that Norm Macdonald Live and all that stuff where he's like most renowned for? The entire time he had cancer. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and then anything.
No, but just yesterday when I heard about it, I was driving home and I stuck on that bit you were talking about, Reese. I just started listening to his last album. So conceivably, I wonder, I think it was from 2011, but, you know, maybe the whole opening thing is about how he loves being alive and how
I love that bit.
Battle with cancer. But I wonder if he knew then. Maybe it's 2 years too early, but
it is true, you know, because he did bring up colon cancer, and I believe that might have been how he did bring that up a lot. So maybe he just had a history of it in his family, and
maybe so.
But I was watching I was watching some bits. I think it was just his delivery because, like, my friend one time was saying, "Oh, I've been watching a lot of Norm Macdonald," and then he just said, he told us a joke, and then he said, "You dirty dog," okay, and I was like, "Oh, all right, that's funny." Bit. Yeah, I know. And then I went back and I was watching.
I love that line. Yeah, sorry. Go
That's
on.
what I mean. Like, as in, like, it was those like turns of phrase where he would say things that would make it so hilarious, you know?
Yeah.
I can't. What was the one he said? He was like, there was one that he was talking about where, like, I think he was talking about. Oh my god. Anyway, he'll do this thing. He'll be going like, it'll be. You're going to the store and you're trying to buy something, and he'll just be rambling, and then all of a sudden he'll say something. He'll go, and then like through sheer tyranny of will,
yes,
and then
yeah,
you're just like, what the fuck was that? Where did that come from?
I think that's also from the cancer bit. Where it was the. Shit, I was just listening to it this morning, but the Janice bit. Janice,
the 24-hour, yeah.
Through sheer tyranny of will.
Yeah. She would light up a room. That was it. Yeah.
Yes. She would light up a room through sheer. Not with a torch. She doesn't have a torch or anything.
Yeah.
He's I mean, if you wrote down all of his stuff and handed it to someone else, he's like, most of his jokes are just like old jokes that like would have been passed around bars or written in like bad joke books. But it's his delivery and his like, I don't know, his insistence that it's funny. And like, he knows that the joke he's telling you is bad, but he's telling it in such a funny way that like he's like making fun of you for laughing at it. I don't know, the whole thing is great. Well, he's dead, but he was great.
Yeah, no, it's like his best years were definitely not behind him. Like, he was growing into being the old man he's been for ages, and it would have just been so funny to see him as like a very elderly comedian, just kind of coming out with these things, you know. So this thank you goes out to all of our patrons. Bless you. Again, we're trying new things this week, so the theme this week is respect, and how none of our patrons get any respect. So Ben gets no respect. For example, his old man said, he asked his old man if they could go ice skating on the lake, and his old man said to him, wait till it gets warmer. And Zainab Lotfi, her doctor said to watch her drinking. Now she drinks in front of a mirror. Okay. And speaking of drinking, did you know that Sean Donnelly, he drinks so much that when his doctor drew blood, he ran a tab. Kevin Larney, who we just had on the podcast, and I didn't even get to mention this to him, he is so stupid. He worked in a bank and they called him stealing pens. As for Podcast Naharin, his mother never breastfed him or them. She told them that she only liked them as a friend, which is wild to say to a baby. Mickey Finn, one time he went to a hotel and asked the bellhop to handle his bag, and the bellhop felt up his wife. One time Benson, well, let's face it, Benson, okay, he isn't very bright. They're not very bright. The other day, he was at the store, they were at the store, and just as they were heading for their car, someone stole it. And a passerby, probably me, I said this. I said, did you see that guy, the guy who did it? And Benson said, no, but I got the license plate. Very stupid, not very bright at all. One time Francis Breen went to a massage parlor. It was self-service. Don't really get that one. Here, Simon Akers. If it wasn't for pickpocketers, he'd have no sex life at all, I tell you. There's an epidemic going around. It's an epidemic of no respect. Whether it's not giving respect, it's not getting respect. That was an example of me not giving respect to Simon Akers. Mark Stokes. Here, listen. His old lady made him join a bridge club. He jumps off next Tuesday. All right? Jesus. Mark Maloney. He was making love to this girl and she started crying, okay? And he said to her, "Are you going to hate yourself in the morning?" She said, "No, I hate myself now." All right? No respect at all. Blind to burqa, okay? Listen. When the childhood she had, okay, when she took her first step, her old man tripped her up. Alan Carroll, okay, when he was a kid in show business, he was poor. He used to go to orgies to eat the grapes, huh? Now let me tell you about Stephen Bradley. He has a dog, okay, and he calls him Egypt because he leaves a pyramid in every room. That's just unpleasant. Richard Zimmerman. He worked in a pet store and people kept asking him how big he'd get. Okay? Right. So Bridget Purcell, last week her house was on fire. Her wife told the kids, "Be quiet, you'll wake up Bridget Purcell." Okay? Which is just... you hate to see it. Milky Fox was tired one night, and so he went to the bar to have a few drinks. The bartender asked him, "What do you have?" He said, "Surprise me." He showed Milky Fox a naked picture of their wife. Okay. Kyle O'Neill. Okay. It was his uncle's dying wish to have him sitting in his lap. He was in the electric chair. Come on. Conor Barry. Conor Barry. Conor Barry. Sorry to say it, Conor, but he's ugly, very ugly. When he was born, the doctor smacked his mother. Huh? So Liam McCartan, one time he was lost. He saw a policeman and asked him to help him find his parents. He said to him, "Do you think we'll ever find them?" And the police officer said, "I don't know, Liam McCartan. There are so many places they can hide." Child abandonment. Claire O'Neill, when she played in the sandbox, the cat kept covering her up. Unbelievable. Crazy. Ronan Kerry. One year they wanted him to be a poster boy for birth control. Okay, they wanted to make him a poster boy. Niamh Kelly. Well, her marriage is on the rocks. Yeah. Her wife just broke up with her boyfriend. Paulie Doyle. He had a fan club, but they broke up recently because the guy died. And Joe Joyce, he gets the least respect of all. He tell you, he has so many pimples. Okay, one day he fell asleep in a library and he woke up and a blind man was reading his face. Tell you another one for Joe Joyce, top tier patron. Yeah, Joe Joyce's parents, they hated him so much that his bath toys were a toaster and a radio. So that's it, just an epidemic of disrespect for all of the patrons through no fault of their own. They enjoy quality podcasts but they just get no respect. And if you want to join them, if you think you get no respect, go to patreon.com/Celtic Ligers for more. So the motion of no confidence did not pass. Obviously. That's it. Yeah, rest in peace, Norm MacDonald. I swear I can timestamp my phone. I came up with the idea of reading out everybody's name as Rodney Dangerfield bits before Norm MacDonald died, and I saw 2 pages of his his memoir, where he said he did a similar bit with Rodney Dangerfield. Okay? Anyway, rest in peace.